Welcome, everybody, to the Frivolous Podcast, Episode 6. I'm your host, Jacob. Excited to be here, excited to be back for the solo episode, third ever solo episode, so I'm excited about it, I guess. I mean, I feel like the solo episodes are easier and harder in different ways. It's easier in the fact that my editing is it takes a lot less time to edit because there's less footage and there's technically less mess ups, I guess, and there's less I have to cut. I don't have to make room for stuff, as opposed to when I'm interviewing somebody, I have all these questions, and sometimes I have to cut stuff to leave room for, so it's not like a 2-hour podcast or whatever. But it's also harder because it's hard to just think about stuff to talk about with yourself in a room alone, and that's always interesting. That's just, I'm literally sitting here, going to be talking to a camera / myself for the next 45 minutes to an hour. And, that's kind of insane to think about. But here we are. We're here, and we're doing it. So that's all that matters. I appreciate all the support we've been getting on the first 5 episodes. It's been really cool. If you're still listening on Episode 6, I appreciate it. If you're just discovering this podcast on Episode 6, welcome. We got a lot of work to do to get to where I want to be, like production-wise and, like, quality-wise. But other than that, I'm actually pretty excited about how things have been. There's been a few hiccups here and there with the technical difficulties a few episodes ago, and then last episode there were some echo issues, not issues. But other than that, it's actually been pretty good, and I think I fixed the echoing issue. I think I fixed the audio tracks in my recording software, so we will find out next episode. I obviously can't test it right now because I don't have anybody to record with, and that's okay. But yeah, I'm super excited to be back here. I'll be honest, I don't have a lot to talk about. I'm going to, do what I can to make this 45 minutes to an hour, and hopefully I'll go on some tangents and I'll think of some things that, along the way. But I was trying to think of stuff to talk about, and I'm really struggling. I've been trying to think the past, 3 or 4 days about what to talk about, and it's been really, really difficult. I don't know why, but I just can't think of anything to talk about with myself. When I'm interviewing somebody, there's so many topics because I can, ask them questions I've even already asked other, guests because they'll have different answers because they have different opinions on things. But when it's just me, it's like, all right, you kind of have to steer away from some of the things you've talked about, because if you continue to talk about the same things over and over and over, people already know your opinions on it. So it's like, all right, why are we still talking about this? So we'll see how it goes. I do have some stuff written down, but I have 5 things, and I thought of most of them yesterday, and I'm sorry, but I'm trying. I promise you I'm trying. It's not a lack of effort. I did have a busy week at work last week, but work is actually winding down, and I'm done working in 4 weeks, or maybe 5, I don't know, but I'm super excited about that, incredibly excited about that. I'll be on summer break. What goes on from there is, a big question mark, as we've talked about a few episodes ago, but it's, we'll see. And it's kind of exciting for it to be unknown and to not know, but it's also incredibly nerve-wracking and anxiety-inducing because it's I want to know. And when you don't have control really of that, that's the worst part. That's really what causes the anxiety, is because you're I can't control this, so I have to deal with whatever happens, and that's it. That's the consequence. It's I know, I've talked about before, it's up to me, to apply to jobs and to try to get a job that I like and to choose the job that I like, but it's so hard, and there's so many choices in between there, it's do I apply to this job? Do I apply to that job? Would I actually like this job? Then even if you get an interview and you get the job, you're would I actually like this job? There's so many things, because you can literally get a job, nail the job interview and get the job, and then go to an interview, or not go to an interview, go to your first day or whatever to do your paperwork, and you can be this is not for me. I've actually been in that situation before. Before I started working at the school I'm working at now, I had a job opportunity to be a caregiver almost. I guess that would be the word for it. That's not what they called it, but it's essentially what it was. But I didn't know that's what the job was. So I was under the impression I was going to be doing something different. I was going to be talking and helping people with disabilities and stuff, which I thought was really cool. And obviously I just had graduated college. I was this is perfect for my psychology degree. This is going to really help my resume, and it's going to help me learn a lot. And then I go in, and then like I'm filling out the paperwork, and it's talking about, like how I'm gonna have to be like taking care of them, like bathing them and like wiping their butts and stuff. Which I will say, there's nothing wrong with that. Like I have nothing. Like I'm not like making fun or judging people that do that, because that's incredibly hard work, and I respect that immensely. But I was like, hey, that's not what I want to do. I was like, I went to 4 years of college, and I don't want to. That's not what I want to do with my psychology degree. I want to like do something actually using it, which I would have used it, obviously, but I was like, this is not what I want to do. This is not what I thought it was going to be. So literally, I was there filling out the paperwork, and I was like, all right, and then they're like, it was, I don't want to say it was unprofessional, but like I'm there filling out paperwork, and they're like, do you want to pick up this shift tomorrow? And I was like, what are you talking about? No, they actually asked me, they were like, do you want to stay till like 11 and kind of and work today? And I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, I just was planning on doing paperwork, and you're asking me to do all that? Like, that's weird. I get that they just desperately needed people, but I was just like, that's like, I'm not prepared for an 8-hour shift today. I was mentally prepared to do some paperwork and then go from there. And you're expecting me to just like hop right in. I was like, that's kind of a lot of pressure. And then they asked me if I wanted to start like the next day, and I was like, what is happening? Like, why are we so like gung ho here? Like, give me some breathing room, okay? Because a new job is scary for most people. I mean, it can just be nerve-wracking, even if it's something like you've wanted to do your whole life. It's like, all right, I got to meet new people. I got to meet a new boss. I got new rules, new this, new that. And you got to get used to it and figure everything out. And obviously, that is stressful. So I was just like, okay. And like, I was freaking out. I didn't stay like the 8 hours that day. I was like, no, I got stuff to do, even though I didn't. But I was like, you're not going to just like make me stay. I mean, I was like, I want to go home. Like, I was planning on being here for like an hour just doing paperwork. I wasn't expecting you to offer me a whole 8-hour shift. And I was just like, what the heck? So yeah, I was on my drive home. I was just like, the entire time I was just like stressed and anxious. I was like, this is not what I want it to be. Like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. And this is not at all what I want it to be. And I don't know if I can do this. And I would have been working like insane hours. I would have like not seen my fiance at all, who was just my girlfriend at the time. But I would have not seen her. Like, I would have seen her, but not nearly as much as I would have liked to. I would have been tired. The hours would have been insane. I would have been working a ton, which, don't get me wrong, I love some shmoney, okay? I love making that shmoney. But I'm not trying to work like 60-hour weeks while like I'm waking up at 3 in the morning or whatever, or working till 3 in the morning. So I was like, I'm gonna. So I told them, I was like, yeah, I don't. It's not for me, and like I felt really bad about it, but it all worked out. I got the job at the school, and there are days that I really like it, and there are days that I really don't like it, and that's honestly, that sums up working in education right there. Some days, sometimes maybe good. No, but some days are really good. Some days just aren't. And that's, like I said, that's just how it goes. And it's because you're working with a lot of different variables, because each kid is a variable. So if a couple kids are having a bad day or they're acting out, it just can make your whole day difficult. But like I've said before, I do enjoy it a lot of the time, and like the impact that students have made on me has been really cool. If I don't go back next year, I will miss some of them. Not all of them, but I will miss some of them. And that's a whole thing that I've been, struggling with. Like, do I go back? My fiance thinks I should work part-time still, so I can kind of focus on my podcast and focus on like the creative aspect of the things that I want to do. Because there's other things I want to do other than just podcasting. I want to start writing again and like really get into that. I might be interested in doing like sketches and stuff. I mean, I have this nice camera that I'm filming from. It'd be really nice to be able to like do sketches and kind of, I don't want to say no, practice would be a good word. Practice my writing. That was an insane stutter I just did. I'm sorry. But I would like to practice my writing and kind of like, in short sketches. And I don't mean like, I mean literally like 3 5-minute videos, like nothing like crazy. And I'm not saying like, oh, I want to be like a sketch comedy channel or whatever. Like, I don't, nothing like that. I just kind of want to like hone in my craft, I guess you would say. And obviously doing sketches would be like really good, whether they're funny or serious, it doesn't really matter, but whatever I think of, right? So that's kind of something I would love to do in the summer, get a part-time job, and whether it's for summer or just for the foreseeable future, if I don't go work at the school again, and then focus on the podcast, focus on my other creative endeavors and whatnot. And and I might be starting a second podcast with my friends that we talked about with Jose last episode, a sports podcast. So like, I want to focus on all those things, because those things are are things that I really enjoy doing. I genuinely enjoy this podcast. I would love to do a sports podcast. I love to write, even though it's very stressful and anxiety inducing, and I try to be a perfectionist with it, but I still love to do it. And so I would love to like actually harness in and focus some of that stuff, and focus on like streaming games and whatnot, like just the stuff that I genuinely enjoy doing and just being able to be myself, right? Because I kind of feel like at this moment right now, working at the place I'm working at, it's almost hard for me to be myself, and that is not what I want. I don't like, and I'm not bashing where I work. I'm not trying to be like, this place is the worst. That's, they're not making me do anything that I am not, you know what I mean? I'm not being forced to do anything. But I work at a religious school, and I'm not a particularly religious person. I have nothing against religion. And if like, that's really all I'm going to say about religion, right? Because I don't, that's a very touchy subject. I'm not trying to offend anybody. Believe in what you believe in, and that's okay. That's awesome. Everybody should have the right to believe in what they want to believe in. I don't care if you're Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Buddhist, like Hindu, whatever. Just, as long as you're a good person, you're a good person. That should apply to anybody and everything. So I work at this religious school, and like they're a lot stricter on things than I personally am. And this isn't even like religious wise, not like certain words you can't say, like they would probably consider crap a bad word, or like a word that you shouldn't say, but like I consider crap like totally an acceptable word to say, even if you're like 7 and you say crap, I'm like, all right. Or if I were to be like, what the hell, they'd probably be like, giving me like a side eye or whatever. And so I'm just like, it's hard for me, because it's like I don't care. I don't want to say I don't care, but it's like I don't care if a kid's saying crap or like what the hell, or I don't even necessarily care if a kid's saying shut up. I mean, it depends on the context or whatever, but it's like sometimes you just gotta let kids be kids. And even if they're going to a religious school, it's like you have to kind of let them learn things for themselves. When I went to a religious school, may or may not have been the same one that I'm working at now, but when I was in high school, I knew, and myself included, a bunch of like my friends in high school, we were like, what? I don't really know what I believe in, because I've just been taught this one thing almost my whole life, and I've been focusing on this one thing. And so it's like, I don't really know. So it's like hard when you're being, I don't want to say forced, like taught one thing, but you're not sure if you even believe in that one thing, but that's like the only thing you've been taught, if that makes sense. And again, I'm not bashing religion or anything like that, or even like religious schools. There's nothing wrong with them. But I just wish, I think this comes down more to the staff and like the faculty than it does like religious schools. So it would obviously vary from school to school. But I think if you have staff and faculty that are like they obviously are, they probably believe in the religion that they're teaching at, right? They probably believe in that. If they're working at a Christian school, believe in Christianity. Or they're Christians. If you work at a Jewish school, what I mean. You get what I'm saying, right? They would probably believe in what they're preaching. Unless they're me. But I think that having like faculty that's like, hey, if you don't believe in that stuff, that's totally okay. Even if you're atheist or whatever, like that's totally okay. That should be fine. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as you're a good person, that's all that ever matters, in my opinion. And that's something that kind of bugs me about certain things, because I just think that it's like we judge people so hard off like what they believe in, like, or what their sexual orientation is, or what they identify as. And it's like, dude, we should not give a crap. Like I do not give a crap. Like, it doesn't matter. And I know a straight white man giving his opinion on something is not the best thing. And I get that. Hey, us straight white men have a horrible track record. And honestly, like, I don't understand why we're favored. I really don't. I don't get why, like, we make the decisions and all that. I don't get that politically. Okay. And that, again, this podcast doesn't really want to get religious or political, but I'm getting really close. Okay. But I'm trying just to tread that line. And my voice cracked a little bit there, and I know you heard it, but it's okay. I'm trying to tread that line a little bit, but without like fully offending somebody on like the left or the right, or fully offending somebody who's super religious or not. But I think it's good to have open discussion and to like talk about both sides of it. I think like understanding, okay, I understand why you're religious, but that's not my thing. Or I understand why you're not religious, and I respect that, but I still believe in what I believe in. Or I understand why you're on the left, but like I still am Republican, or vice versa. Like, I don't think it should matter, and yet here we are. We care so much about these trivial things, and it's just so frustrating. Like, I just don't get it. And like I said, straight white man giving his opinion isn't really, isn't really what people want these days. But I'm not. I don't know I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying my opinion is like the end all be all. I'm not saying my opinion is even that important or even matters really. But like I said, it's just my opinion, and I'm just sharing it. I just think good people outweigh whatever they believe in or whatever they are. This is kind of like a weird like rant, and I'm treading a line I don't really want to tread because it's, like I said, it's religious and kind of political, and I don't really want to get into either of those too much because there's never ever any winning that. There's just no winning those conversations because it's all opinion based. It's all what you believe in. So it's like, even if you present cold hard facts on one way or the other, somebody's not going to believe it, and it's never ending, and it's just annoying. And I honestly am not a fan of politics, like, at all. I really like hate going on social media and it's just all politics. Like, I'm like, dude, I get that they're important to an extent, but the way how important we make it is ridiculous. And that's kind of all I'm gonna say about it. Actually, I will say one thing, and I don't think this is controversial. And I think no matter what side you're on, you can agree with this. But why are like 80-year-olds making decisions for me? You know what I'm saying? Like, why is somebody in their 80s, or I don't even know who the oldest like congressman or whatever is right now, but like, why is somebody in their 70s or 80s making decisions about my future? Because I'm gonna tell you this, they will probably choose something that benefits them in the short term more because they're only going to be alive in the short term, rather than something that benefits the long term more. And that's something that bugs me. And that's not a right or left thing. That's just something that makes sense. And I feel like that doesn't get talked about enough. I mean, it gets talked about a lot. But it's like, if there's one thing that can unite Republicans and Democrats, it should be that. We should all be like, hey, why are you making decisions for me? Like, there should be kind of a cap on on how long you can be working here, okay? You did, you had your run. Thank you for that. We appreciate it, I guess. But let's replace you with some youth, okay? Because I'm 24 years old. And yet this 70-year-old is going to be deciding like stuff about the economy and stuff about, the global warming and stuff like that for me. Huh? Like, what? I don't like that. I don't like that at all, okay? So that needs to change. And that is the most political I will get on this podcast. And if you disagree with me on that, I'm sorry. But like, I'm not sorry, because I feel like that's something that everybody should agree with. So if we have a limit on the president, we should have a limit on the congressman. That's all I'm saying. Okay, now let's get into some funny. Okay, if we even keep that in, I don't even know if I'm gonna keep that in because my podcast today is turning a little bit, iffy. It's a little sketchy, but this honestly, I've been having thoughts about the religious school, and I have thoughts about the term thing. Having those thoughts for like a few weeks now, and it kind of feels good to just talk about it. If I lose viewers or listeners because of it, it is what it is. I don't care because I feel like it's not controversial what I'm saying. So it's not like I'm really placing my stake in one thing or the other. So, and if you can't have open conversations about anything, then you're just not like open for debate. That's not a quality of a good person. You're just stubborn and you're stuck in your ways. A good quality of a person is and this is not just politics or religious or whatever, this is just about life, about anything. If you're arguing with your partner, or if you're talking to your friends about sports or whatever, just arguing, or you're even just arguing with your friend. I just stuttered a ton. Nice. But if you're just arguing with somebody and you are just so stubborn, and you're like, no matter what, even if you're shown like cold hard facts, like proof that you are wrong, and you're just like, no, well, I'm not wrong. That's a problem, and you need to change that. Like, I get being stubborn. I'm a pretty stubborn person, okay? But there comes a time where it's like you have to accept that you're wrong, swallow your pride, and learn. If you're not open to learning and not open to being like, oh, I was misinformed and I thought differently, but now I know the truth, and now I will be better like educated and informed going forward. Like, how do you not want that? How do you want to be going around not knowing the right answer to that, that situation, that circumstance? That's just something that has blown my mind always when people are like, well, I don't care what you say, or I don't care what, the facts say. I don't like that. Or I don't agree with that. I'm like, well, you don't have to agree with that, I guess, but why do you want to go around being wrong? Like, if I were to tell you straight up, factually, that 2 + 2 = 4, we all know that, right? But if you were, for some reason, were like so adamant that it equals 7, and you had some crazy way, like, it equals 7, I'm like, all right, but like, why do you want to go around being wrong, even though you got out a calculator, you typed in 2 + 2 = 4, 2 + 2 = 4, you saw the facts, why do you still want to walk around being wrong? Like, I know for me, it can be hard sometimes to admit that I'm wrong, because like I said, I'm stubborn. But it is kind of nice too when you were wrong and you're like, oh wow, I did not know that. I thought the opposite this whole time, but it's actually the other way. That's kind of interesting to know. And now you know that for the future. And guess what? You can help educate somebody if in the future too. Oh my gosh, how crazy is that? It's such a cool thing that the world is. But yeah, we're so stubborn and idiotic as humans that we can't accept that, and we have to sometimes just be too prideful to do that. And it's so annoying to me. All right. Anyways. I'm actually going to talk about something controversial. I'm talking about something super controversial. I know I said I wasn't going to talk about controversy, but here it is. Okay, this is probably the most controversial I will get on my podcast, so I kind of want everybody to brace themselves. Because this is going to get intense. It's going to be a really intense topic, but why does everybody hate Nickelback so much? Have you ever thought about that? They're kind of hated hard. Like, I don't understand why. I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, why are they hated so much? Like, if somebody were to tell you like a band that like they're such a, I don't want to say memeable, but like they get made fun of so much on the internet, like always on the internet. But it's like, you mean to tell me, like, here's the thing. If anybody's ever making fun of Nickelback in the future, especially if they're under the age of 20, because I'm 24 and I don't know a ton of Nickelback songs, so you could even probably say 24 maybe, but like under the age of 20 for sure. And if they're hating on Nickelback, I want you to ask them, like, have you heard? Can you name like 2 Nickelback songs? Have you actually listened to Nickelback? Because if not, because you got to challenge them on it. Because sometimes people tend to just hate because that's like the trend. Like, oh, everybody's hating on Nickelback. All right, let's hate on Nickelback or whatever. Guy Fieri kind of got that too, so which I thought was weird too. Which is this, like, why are we hating on Flavortown? What? But that's different. It's kind of actually, that's not really a different subject. That's kind of the same thing. Guy Fieri gets a ton of hate because he's got, well, maybe not anymore, but in the past he got like a ton of hate on the internet because of like his hair and Flavortown and stuff like that. People would make fun of him, but like, and that's like the same with Nickelback. Like, Guy Fieri is like, and Nickelback are honestly one and the same, and that's a collab that I honestly want to see now. So maybe Nickelback will stop by Flavortown one time. Who knows? Anyways. But like, why are we hating on Nickelback? I was in the car the other day and I just had a Spotify on, and it was my daily mix, and Rockstar came on by Nickelback. Dude, you mean to tell me that's a bad song? If that's a bad song, I don't want to live on this planet anymore. That song goes hard. And if you haven't heard it, I want you to, after the podcast, or if you want to take a little break and listen to it, it's like a 3 or 4 minute song, listen to it. Dude, it's so good. It's such a slap, such a banger, okay? But yet we're hating on them for some reason. So I think people, honestly, they're full of it. They don't listen to Nickelback. They've never listened to Nickelback. They've never given them the chance. But if they listen to Rockstar, they'd be like, hey, Nickelback's not as bad as we were making them out to be, okay? And they're not so bad. Now, if you dislike songs by them, that's okay. I dislike songs by almost every artist. But guess what? That's kind of how music works. It's almost impossible to like every song by every artist that you like. There are artists that I love that make songs that I'm like, what are we doing? Like, this is horrible. So I just was thinking about that, and I kind of feel bad for them. Not that I need to feel bad for millionaires and literal rock stars, but like they don't deserve the hate that they get. Guy Fieri doesn't deserve that hate. I just think, the internet is cruel and idiotic, and they like to have this gang mentality where it's like they'll all gang up and, hate on something together because it's what's trending and there's memes about it, and it'll get you clicks, it'll get you retweets, it'll get you views on TikTok. But Nickelback is not bad, and that's my controversial statement of this episode, okay? So if you disagree, and tell me why down below. Tell me why in the comments, okay? But I need like actual reasoning. I don't want you to be like, dude, they just suck. No. That's not a reason. Listen to some songs. Tell me what you don't like about it. Do you not like the lyrics? Do you not like their voice? Do you not like the instrument? It's like there has to be something. There has to be reasoning behind it. Okay. So I challenge anybody who's a Nickelback hater. Listen to Rockstar. Maybe listen to a couple other Nickelback songs. Okay. Maybe like 3. Give them a chance. And if you're still not a fan, I'm not saying you have to be a fan of them, but if you still don't like them after that, okay, fine. You gave them a chance. You listened to some songs. You listened to their most popular songs on Spotify. Okay. Cool, whatever. That's fine. You gave them, you tried. But if you listen and you're like, you know what, one of these songs wasn't so bad, then I challenge you to change your viewpoint on Nickelback. I'm not saying you gotta love them. I'm not saying you gotta like them. I'm not even saying you gotta be a fan of them. I'm just saying you can at least be like, hey, they're not the worst band in the world like they get memed about all the time. Okay? So that's my challenge to you, especially anybody under 20, because I guarantee you most people under 20 haven't heard Nickelback before. So. Because I can't believe that I've barely heard Nickelback. You know what? Something that's kind of been crazy to me these past, like, I don't know, I've been out of high school for like 6 years. So I would say 6 years. When I started working, like, at my fast food job, and my taste in music kind of expanded and changed. Like, when I was in high school, I was like, it's rap and hip-hop. That's it. It's rap and hip-hop and a little bit of pop. I will admit there was a little bit of pop in there. But for the most part, I was like, it's rap and hip-hop. Like, that's it. And even though, and I did like it, don't get me wrong, and I still like rap and hip hop, but I rarely listen to it. I started working at this fast food place, and one of the coworkers there, who's actually one of my best friends, he would listen to stuff like 21 Pilots and like that kind of music. So like, 21 Pilots isn't punk rock, so that's really, but he would listen to like 21 Pilots and stuff like that, and like the Killers. And I know a coworker, she would listen, like, there would always be, like, Blink 182, The Killers, 21 Pilots. I know 21 Pilots doesn't really fit in there because they're not an older band, but, like, kind of like that genre of music, right? And I guess 21 Pilots doesn't really fit in that, but that's okay. But, like, there was always, like Blink 182 or 21 Pilots or the Killers playing. And I guess, the Killers are not the Killers. 21 Pilots doesn't really fit into that genre. They're kind of a different genre. But you kind of get what I'm saying, right? It was a different type of music than what I was listening to, because I was listening to hip hop and pop mainly. So I started hearing Blink 182 and, like Simple Plan and all that. And I'm like, I'm like, okay. And obviously I had heard some, like I had heard I Miss You before by Blink 182, who hadn't heard that song. And I had heard, Mr. Brightside by the Killers and whatnot. And my voice kind of cracked there, and I know you heard it, and we're just going to keep going on. My voice cracks like once per episode, so that's cool. But I was like, man, this music is so good. And because I was born in 98, since I was, I'm 24, I was born in 1998. And so like that like early to mid 2000s, like punk pop or whatever, punk rock, not punk pop, punk rock. That I was too young to like really listen to that and really enjoy it, because by the time I was a teenager, it was like what, 2011, 2012. So like music wasn't really the style then. It was like early 2000s, and when I was like 4 or 5, and I was not really listening to music. But it is funny because my favorite band of all time is Linkin Park. Like, they were my first band that I really loved, and they're still my favorite band of all time, despite them not being a band anymore. So it is funny, and they're not really punk rock. I guess maybe a little bit, but they're more, I don't know. They're hard to like judge on the genre scale. But like I started listening to these songs. I'm like, man, this music kind of slaps. And so I started listening on Spotify more and more and more. I'd start adding songs to my playlist and whatnot. And now my daily mix, I get all these like crazy good songs. I get like Ocean Avenue. Oh my God, Ocean Avenue is one of the greatest songs of all time. And you can debate me about that all you want. I love Ocean Avenue. Oh my gosh. And I've actually been on Ocean Avenue. Okay, I've been to LA, and I've actually been on Ocean Avenue. So pretty cool or whatever. But I like, Ocean Avenue's insanely good song. All the Small Things by Blink 182. Hello. Simple Plan's got like 5 bangers, dude. I can't even. I'm Just a Kid. Oh my gosh, I can't think of another. I'm Just a Kid. Oh my God, I can't think of any other Simple Plan songs right now. That's actually bugging me. Well, they have like I don't know, but I love Simple Plan. I can't think of any other Simple Plan songs right now. I'm actually drawing a blank. But you get what I'm saying. like I started listening to those, and then, so now I'm getting all these like really good songs in like my, well, not now, but like, so I like finally, oh my god. So like I finally have all these like really good songs, like these like early to mid 2000s like punk rock songs in my playlist, like this angsty stuff, and I'm like, yes, I like, it's my favorite genre of music now, which is why I like the new Machine Gun Kelly music, because that's the genre of music he has. You know, Ian Dio or Youngblood, they do that type of music too. So I'm like, oh dude, this stuff is awesome. But it's so funny because sometimes I'll have the daily mix running, and a song will come on that I didn't know was that song. Like I knew the song, but I didn't know the song. Does that make sense? Have you ever had that happen before? And what I mean by that is like you're listening to a song, right? I don't know if you just heard, but my stomach just growled so loud. But anyways, but you're listening to a song, or you know a song, like, but you just don't know the name of it, and then so like you start to, and you always skip the song when you see it come on like Pandora or Spotify or Apple Music or whatever. You're like, I'm not like, well, I don't even know this song. Why would I listen to it? And then one time you finally let it play, and you're like, oh my god, that's this song. Like I didn't know that. I love this song, but I didn't know that was what it's called. And I've been skipping it for the past 2 years. You know what song was that for me? A song for that. Oh my, I can't even talk today. My song that was that, like very recently, was Danny California by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Dude, I knew what that song was. I knew that song. I didn't even know that was the name of the song. So I always skipped it when it would come up. I always skip it. And then I listened to, like, I was like, one time I was like, all right, I'll just let the song play. And I was like, oh my god, this is this song? I was like, are you kidding me? I freaking love this song. This song's an absolute certified hit, okay? So I was like so surprised about that, and I started thinking about it more and more. And then another one came on, and it was Face Down by the Red Suit Apparatus or something like that. And I was like, this is this song? Like, it's so weird. I hope you guys know what I'm talking about, like where you know a song but you don't know the name of the song, and like you tend to skip that song when it pops up because you don't know the name of it and you think it's something different. Because that happens to me all the time. I'm so like, I don't want to say picky with my music, but it's like I'm very bad at like, all right, I know these songs. I'm going to listen to the songs that I know. Listen to the songs that I know because I love these songs. If I don't know a song and on my daily mix, I typically skip it. I rarely am like, yeah, I'll give it a chance. Like, it's so rare. I'd have to be like at the gym working out or doing something where it's like I don't want to skip it or whatever. Okay. I'm going to talk about like two kind of pet peeves of mine, and I'm going to go into, I'm going to actually kind of, this, it might be a new segment I might start. I don't know, but it might be a new segment I start. We'll see. But anyways, a couple pet peeves of mine. So, actually, no. One's a pet peeve. One's not a pet peeve. One's an anxiety thing. But I live in Oregon, and if you've never been to Oregon, it's, it's a very green state. But it primarily is raining 9 to 10 months out of the year, right? It's very rarely sunny. We'll get a couple days of sun here and there, but it's primarily raining up until like June. And like it's usually mid to late June that it actually starts being sunny, and then you get like 80 to 90, and sometimes 100-degree weather. And I'm one of those people. I love the sun. If it's 75, 80 degrees out, I'm loving that. I love that. I don't like it cloudy. I don't like it rainy. I'm not a fan of that. And I know it's probably like, well, most people are, but I know a lot of people that live in Oregon that love the rain, don't like the sun. So which is absolutely mind blowing to me. Anyways, it's so annoying because this week, actually, I'll use this week as an example. Monday, Tuesday, raining, like pouring, like horrible weather. Wednesday, sunny, beautiful day, like literally beautiful, sunny, warm day. Thursday, Friday, raining. Actually, but Friday afternoon, sunny. Friday afternoon, it was like storm, sun, storm again. Like, it is so stupid. And it just bugs me. And here's something I want to talk about. This makes me mad, and I don't want to hear the facts behind this, okay? Because it's just something that makes me mad. And even if I know the facts behind it, it's going to bug me, okay? It should not be able to be sunny when it's raining. I'm sorry. Those are the rules now, okay? Okay, Mother Nature, those are the rules. Dude, there's no reason for the sun to be out and it to rain. It's like you're either one or the other. You're not both. You can't be both. I'm sorry. That's the rules now. Those are the rules. I don't make them. Well, actually, I do. I do make the rules. And it's so annoying. She's like, oh, the sun's out. And then like 5 minutes later, it starts to rain on you. And I get, you can see the gray rain clouds in the sky, so it's not like it's really a surprise. But it's still so annoying. Like, don't give me any false hope. Don't do that to me. Don't tease me with a little bit of sun and then just have it pour on me. Also, hey, if it's sunny, it shouldn't be 35 degrees outside. I'm sorry, but if it's sunny, it shouldn't be 35 degrees outside. Okay? That's the new rule too, okay? Okay, Mother Nature, I hope you're taking notes, because it makes no sense why there's sun out in the middle of February, but yet it's still 30 degrees out and there's frost on the ground. Like, come on. Either you warm me up or you go away. Like, your job is to keep me warm, so do that or go away. Your job is to keep the coldness and the rain away. And I know there's not really any science for it to keep rain away, but that's, in this scenario, there is now, okay? So keep the rain away, keep the cold away, and if you're not going to do either of those things, get out of my way, okay? Because I don't want you teasing me. I want to be like, oh, the sun's out today, but I don't want to have to wear 17 layers, okay? Or I don't want to have to wear a raincoat, okay? Okay. Are we all on the same page? I think we're all on the same page. Okay, good. Because that's just so annoying to me. Like, I don't want to have to wear sunglasses while driving and also have my windshield wipers going. Does that make sense? Because those two things don't really mix, and it makes no sense why I have to do that. So, and speaking of windshield wipers, that's a perfect transition into the second thing I want to talk about. Does anybody else get windshield wiper anxiety? Am I the only one? I can't be the only one. Like, I feel like that's got to be such a common thing that we all think is not common. And I'll explain what that means. So, what I mean by windshield wiper anxiety is like when it's raining and like you look at the other cars to see like what their windshield wiper setting is at. Because like there'll be times where it's that annoying part of rain where it's like it's enough to where you have to have your windshield wipers on, but it's too much to where you can't just have it on the first setting, but it's too little to have it on the second setting. So you're like you need like a middle setting for that. You need like one in between, like you need like a 1.5, right? So like sometimes I'll have it on like the second setting, even though I don't technically need it, but it's just more convenient than I can't wait for the first one to finally do it because it's going to take too long. But like I'll look around at the cars that I drive by, or if you're at a red light, I'll look at the other cars and I'm like, am I being dramatic? like because they just have it on the first one where it's like it goes every like few seconds as opposed to mine that just continuously going. I'm like, am I dramatic? Like, am I yelling at them? Like, what's happening? And so I'm like looking around, I'm like, yeah, I'm just being dumb. I don't know what I'm doing. And then I'll put it on, the first one, and I'm like, I can't see, but at least I'm fitting in, right? Like, and then I'm like, oh no, I gotta change on the other one. And then I get to the stoplight, and I'm like, I don't know, I might be estimating like how much rain it is. I think I just need to calm down, and I do it, and I'm like, no, I gotta have it on that second setting because I put down to the first, and I can't see. So, there's no way I'm the only one who's experienced that. And I don't know if maybe I'm just weird because I have social anxiety or whatnot. But it's like I feel like almost when I have it on like a too high of, or what in my opinion is too high of a setting, people are like looking at me and be like, look at this dude. Like, what is he freaking out about? It's just a little bit of rain, and he's got it on the third setting when he only needs it on the second setting. What an absolute lunatic. Like, there's no, my mind is so weird, man. I don't know why I think about that stuff. But like I literally think about that almost every time it rains. And like I said, I live in Oregon where it rains 9 months out of the year, so I think about that a lot. And I hope somebody listening to this is like, dude, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, I feel the same way. And if you do feel the same way or ever have felt the same way, I applaud you, and I'm glad that you're listening because I feel a bit insane saying that, but it's such a funny like thing that I had to talk about because it's so funny that I care about it. Well, I don't really care, but it's so funny that I'm thinking that. I'm like, am I like, you're kind of like, am I being dramatic? Am I the drama? Like, is this me? Am I manifesting this? Like, what? It's just a little bit of rain. Nah, I don't even need windshield wipers. They're overrated. I can't believe how perfect that transition was, by the way. I was not expecting that transition to be so smooth and flawless. But hey, it worked out, and I'm happy about it. So yeah, if you have windshield wiper anxiety, let me know. Okay, let me know if I'm crazy or not. And I've been trying to think of like other types of anxieties like that, and I can't at the moment. But if you have anything that's similar to that, please let me know because I would love to like tell you if I agree or if I feel the same way or whatever. Because I get the weirdest social anxieties. Like I get weird. Actually, I get weird when I walk by like homeless people. Am I the only person? Like, and I have nothing against homeless people. This isn't like oh, homeless people suck. Like, no, they deserve it. Like, no, nothing like that. Nothing like that. It's just like I'm so bad at like saying no to people, or ignoring people, like I'll feel bad if I ignore somebody, right? So, like whenever I see like a homeless person or whatever, like and I have to walk by them to get into a store, like I'm always on the phone. Like I'm always talking to somebody on the phone. I literally pull out my phone and like I will act like I'm talking. I'm like, oh hey, I'm like, yeah, I'm at the store. What do you need me to grab again? Like, I'm making up a conversation. Which is like so insane. But I'm like, I don't want to be rude and ignore them, which even though I am, but at least I have it looks like I have an excuse. So they're like, oh, he's not a jerk. But it's like, I don't have change or money to give you anyways. Like I never have like cash on me. So I'm just like, oh man, like, am I a bad person for that? Like I have nothing, like I said, nothing as homeless people. And I've talked to homeless people before, but like, it's so hard. Cause I'm like, all right, like I don't have cash for you. So I'm sorry about that, but I don't want to like completely ignore you. Cause I don't want to think that like I hate homeless people, because I understand there's a huge issue in the world, and like I totally understand the psychological aspects of it, because homeless shelters aren't necessarily the best places for them, because we're trying to medicate them, and then they have to follow curfews, and it's not always the easiest thing. And there's also mental illness involved, because whether it's drug addiction or they have severe depression, anxiety, bipolar, schizophrenia, whatever, there's all these potential issues with people who are homeless, and if they go into a shelter, they have to abide by these certain rules. And sometimes for homeless people, it can be really hard, because it's hard to institutionalize them, is what I'm trying to say. And there's a lot of like, it's not as black and white as people like to make it out to be. Like, oh well, if we just open up more homeless shelters, the homeless problem will be solved. It's not that easy. It's actually much more complicated than that, because they have to choose it. They have to choose, okay, I'm going to abide by these rules. I'm going to listen. I'm going to like change my ways. And if they're addicted to, a drug of some sort, which some are, obviously not all homeless people are addicted to drugs, but some are. So it's like they have to like get weaned off of that drug, and so they have to agree to not do that drug. And obviously if they break any of these rules, or if they cause a problem, they get kicked out of the homeless shelter, and then they're back to square one. So it's a huge, huge dilemma and a huge issue. So so I don't know why I just went into that tangent, but I think people sometimes think it's so black and white, and I'm like, it's really not. It's actually really insane, like how complicated it is, and it's really sad how complicated it is, because like you don't want to see somebody struggle, whether it's with addiction or whether they just have like a mental illness or whatever. Like it's just sad to see them not be able to like be like, all right, I'm gonna check myself into this institution and get better and like have a home and like try to work my way up to getting a job again and whatnot. But here's the thing, I'm like that with just people in general too, like homeless or not. Like if I like start walking the wrong way and I realize I'm walking the wrong way, like to my car or whatever, I like have to go on my phone and be like, oh they're looking, oh okay. I'm like, oh, like I act like I got a text and or a call and they told me I was the other way. I can't ever just admit that I was going the wrong way, as if people really care about what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like I know I'm not the only one that feels this way, but like we as people just feel like everybody's looking at us. And I mean, in some cases, depending on who you are, that's true. But like, I guarantee you, nobody's paying as much attention to you as you actually think they are. Like I'm like, oh dude, I just walked by 3 people and they saw me turn around and come back, and now they think I'm just an idiot and they're going to talk about me, make fun of me. But it's like, first of all, they probably aren't going to do that. More than likely, they're not going to do that. But if they do that, who cares? You're not going to see them again. The odds of you seeing them again are so slim. So who cares? But yet we do. We care. I care, because that's just how we are. And even though my personal experience, my viewpoint on that has gotten better. Like I don't care nearly as much what people think about me, especially people I don't know. Like I've started to care less and less and less about that. But I still I don't really care if like somebody's like, wow, what is he wearing? Because it's like, I'm not going to see you again. I don't really care. Like I'm just doing me. But still, there's sometimes where it's like worse, and you're like maybe not feeling as confident that day. Or you're just like feeling like crap or whatever. And you're like, oh no, everybody's going to be looking at me because I'm wearing Crocs or whatever. Like just something so stupid. Like everybody's going to judge me for this, when it's just like, dude, just do whatever the heck you want to do. Like who cares if somebody makes fun of you for wearing pajamas outside, like, to a store? Who cares? Like, they're whatever. Just do what you want to do, as long as you're not literally hurting people, like, murdering people, or just like walking around naked. Like, who cares? Okay. This episode's so weird. This episode's all over the place, and I'm sorry. I hope you guys are still with me, first of all, and I hope you're also still enjoying it, because it's been so weird, honestly, and I don't know why. I don't know why it's been so weird. I don't know what's wrong with me today. Nothing's wrong with me. But honestly, this episode has been really nice for me so far. And it's actually going to be over soon because I just have one more thing I want to talk about. But being able to talk about those first few things I talked about with the religious and political things that I talked about, I actually, like I said, I really wanted to talk about that stuff and get it off my chest because those are thoughts I've been having for a while. And it is a bit scary because anytime you bring up something serious like that, or even with the homeless thing too, it's a very serious problem as well. It's a bit like daunting because it's like, all right, there's gonna be somebody who could get offended by this or be mad about this, even though I'm neutral. I'm trying my best to be neutral. Like I'm trying my best to be in the middle and explain it from maybe every side, but be open. I'm trying to have an open conversation about it where it's like I don't know everything about it, but this is what I know. Not saying that it's right or wrong, and this is my personal experience and or opinion, but I understand the other aspect of it too, and I understand the other viewpoints and whatnot. And so I'm not saying I'm right or wrong or whatever. But yeah, when you talk about anything like that, any serious stuff like that, people will get offended and they'll take it to heart, or they'll act like you were calling them out or calling out their religion or calling out their political party or whatever, and just. So it's a bit sketchy, honestly. It's a bit like I said, it's anxiety inducing, and I'm gonna edit this, and I'm probably gonna think really hard about cutting some of that stuff, and I hope I don't, and I don't think I will because I want to be authentic and I want to be myself, and I don't think I'm being controversial, and despite the fact that this is supposed to be a comedy / psychological podcast, I want to avoid political and religious discussions as much as possible. I do think. In certain circumstances, it's warranted and it's allowed and it should happen. And sometimes you have to have those uncomfortable talks, whether or not you like it. And that's just kind of how it works in life. And if anybody that's listening to this really really disagrees with me, hard disagrees or is strongly opinionated the other way of something I've said, that's totally okay. And if I lose viewers or listeners from it, that's okay too. I'm not gonna lose sleep over that, because I'm not a super opinionated person in general. I'm very neutral on most things. The things I'm opinionated and passionate about are stupid things. I mean, you just heard me rant about it being sunny and raining at the same time. That's a stupid thing that I'm opinionated about. But when it comes to real topics, real life topics, I mean, I'm slightly opinionated on some things, but I'm not gonna share that with a public audience, first of all. And second of all, I'm not super well educated on a lot of that stuff because I just don't like those kind of subjects. I don't like political subjects. I really am not a fan of it. So I tried to avoid political subjects and I tried to avoid political talks. And same with religion. I'm not a fan of religious talk. So I try to avoid religious talk and religious conversations because it's, something I'm not super well educated on, first of all. And second of all, it's just like I mentioned earlier, it's an opinion-based thing or a belief-based thing. And so there's not necessarily right or wrong. That's just all right, it's just whether you think you're right or whether you think you're wrong. It's I can view one thing one way, you can view it another way, and you can think you're right, I could think I'm right, and that's how it's gonna be. It's very rare for you to convince me otherwise, or me to convince you otherwise. That's just kind of how those kind of topics go. It's hard to tread that line and find the balance of it. So I'm hoping I did, and I'm hoping if there's somebody who's far right or somebody who's far left or somebody who's atheist or somebody who's super religious, I'm hoping they're not offended. I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to get canceled before I, with my 30 listeners a week, I don't want to get canceled when my podcast isn't even big, but because that's obviously not the goal. But, if people get offended, then people get offended. I mean, in this day and age, people get offended about quite literally everything, and it's honestly insane, and it's exhausting, and it makes, I think social media in a lot of aspects was a mistake, but that's a subject for another day. Speaking of social media, gosh, my transitions today, listen, this podcast has kind of been all over the place. We can all admit that. But my transitions today have been on point, okay? Because that transition was really smooth, even though I kind of ruined it. But I want to talk about something. This is actually 2 months old. Actually 2 months. Oh no, it's a month and a half old. There was a IGN, which is a paper or whatever. I don't know what IGN is, but IGN tweeted and had an article late March, so a couple months ago, ranking the Pixar movies from number 25 all the way to number 1. What's the best Pixar movie of all time, basically. So they ranked it. Okay. So here's the thing. This all it says is from Toy Story to Turning Red, Pixar has given us 25 movies in just a little over 25 years. Naturally, we decided to rank them, ranging from sentient cars to an unbreakable superfamily. Okay, so I don't. So they rank them. They're ranking these Pixar movies, and I want to read you. I'm gonna read you guys their rankings, and then we're gonna talk about it. Okay, because their rankings are, or it's one of the most insane lists I've ever. It's blasphemous in a lot of ways, and I haven't seen some of these movies, and I will talk about that. But I'll share my opinion. Oh, I just hit the mic. Sorry. I will share my opinion afterwards too, and whatnot. But I'm just gonna read you the list first, okay? At number 25, we have Cars 3. Number 24, we have Cars 2. Number 23, Finding Dory. 22, Monsters University. I have not seen Monsters University or Cars 3. Number 21, The Good Dinosaur. Haven't seen. 20 is Brave. Haven't seen. 19 is Cars. We'll get back to that. 18 is Onward. Haven't seen. 17 is Turning Red, which I haven't seen. 16, Luca. 15, Soul. Haven't seen that one. 14 is Incredibles 2. 13, A Bug's Life. 12 is Toy Story 4. 11 is Ratatouille. 10 is Toy Story 2. 9 is Up. 8 is Finding Nemo. 7 is Monsters, Inc. 6 is Coco, which I haven't seen, which is insane because I don't know how I haven't seen that movie, but I haven't. 5 is Inside Out. 4 is Toy Story. 3 is WALL-E. This is the part where I almost threw my phone when I first read it. Number 2 is Toy Story 3. And then number 1 is The Incredibles. Okay, can we just talk about... We're just going to talk about the list for a second. Before I even list my opinions and like where I would rank stuff. How bad is that list? How bad? Like that's one of the worst lists I've ever read. It's like they didn't even watch the movies. They just read like the synopsis of it and they ranked it off of that. Because there's no way Cars, the first Cars, there's no way the first Cars is at 19. 19 out of 25, the first Cars? No way. There's no way A Bug's Life is 13. Okay, you mean to tell me Toy Story 4 is better than A Bug's Life? And Cars? No, there's just not a world where that's true, okay? Listen, I'm a huge Toy Story fan. I'm a huge Toy Story fan. I loved the first 2 movies, right? Like, it's honestly, like, it's literally my favorite animated movie of all time is Toy Story. Or Toy Story 1 and 2. Like, that's my favorite animated, like, franchise. Or whatever. The third one was okay. I will admit, the third one wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it was, like, okay. But the fourth one, I was like, this wasn't really necessary, you know? We didn't really need it, you know? I understand why you did it, but we didn't really need it, and I wish they wouldn't have. Which, you know, that goes back to my conversation in episode 4 where I talk about sequels and reboots. Like, do we really need to reboot this, 20 years later? Who knows? But anyways, so you mean to tell me that Toy Story 4 is the 12th best Pixar movie of all time? Like, there's just no way. And I know there's obviously bias too in me because of nostalgia. Nostalgia can really like alter the actual perception of how good a movie or how good something is. Like Space Jam is a huge thing, people like to wear Space Jam stuff, and myself included, but like in reality is that movie is really not that good, but we like it because of the nostalgic factor to it, right? Because we watched it as a kid, and probably as a kid we loved it. Like I mean that's how it was for me. I loved it as a kid. I thought it was awesome. Looney Tunes and Michael Jordan playing basketball, Bill Murray, like, heck yeah, that's awesome. But like in reality is that's not a great movie. And I know, I understand some of these I might be biased on because of nostalgia, and I'll try to like factor that in, and I'll also try to like acknowledge that. But I just there's just no way Toy Story 4. And here's the thing too, I've seen Toy Story 4. I saw it in theaters months and months after it came out though. I saw it like a really cheap movie theater. It was, like I said, it was okay, but it wasn't necessary. And there's no way 4 is better than A Bug's Life. I don't even think it's better than Incredibles 2. I actually think Toy Story 4 should be in that 25 through 20 range. Honestly, genuinely, I think Finding Dory is better. That might be controversial, but I think Finding Dory is better because, dude, honestly, the biggest thing that makes Finding Dory better is that whale. That whale was hilarious. I think it was a beluga whale or whatever. That whale was so funny that alone made the movie like better than Toy Story 4. Because Toy Story 4, you're watching it and you're just like, why? Like, I don't like how Toy Story 4 ended. I think that's the reason I didn't like it. I don't want Woody to be away from Buzz and everybody. I don't like that. Like, I don't like the fact that Woody wasn't getting played with, and so he kind of was upset about it. And then he decides at the very end, like, I'm gonna stay here with Lil Bo Peep and all these. Like, I did not personally like that. Like, I want them all to be together. They're a family. You don't break up family. Like, come on, what are we doing? And it's like, it's not like they're gonna walk back and go see Woody again. Like, the only way they're gonna see Woody again is if they go to like I think it was a fair or carnival, whatever it was. So I just thought that was dumb. Okay, I've talked way too much about Toy Story 4. We need to move on. Cars. Okay, so here's Cars being 19 is blasphemy. Cars is top 15 at least. I think it's higher than top 15, but I think we can comfortably say Cars is top 15. Like, I haven't seen Soul, but Soul's being top 15. From what I've heard, that's a reasonable take for that, right? So I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So that's fine. And like I said, this came out in March. I don't know. Is Encanto Pixar? I don't know. But like, if it is, like, this isn't counting that or whatever. I don't know if Encanto is Pixar. I really should know that. I think it is. But here, dude, there's no way Toy Story 3 is the second best Pixar movie of all time. There's no way. Listen, you can make an argument for The Incredibles being number one. I personally don't think it's number one, but there's an argument for it, for sure. I can see why people would put it as number one. I can see why WALL-E's in the top 5, too. A lot of people might not agree with that, but I think WALL-E was a really good story, and it's kind of like a tell of the dystopia that it's becoming our reality almost, in a way, with all the garbage we have. There's literally islands of garbage in the ocean, and we're all becoming fat slobs who have motorized, scooters and whatnot, and get everything done for us by AI. I mean, look at Teslas. So I think that was a great story, and they did that without really, like, a lot of dialogue, which I thought was really cool. They just had it was beeps, really, and obviously Eva talked a little bit, but great movie. Toy Story top 5, I agree with. Inside Out top 5, oh, I don't know. That's where I get a little controversial myself, because I didn't love Inside Out the way everybody else loved Inside Out. I think Inside Out was a great movie. It's a great concept, a really cool concept, actually. But did I love it? I don't know. Do I think it's a top 5 Pixar? No. You know what I would put ahead of it? And I don't know if this is controversial or not. I'd put Ratatouille ahead of it. I would put Ratatouille ahead of it. Ratatouille to me is a top 5 Pixar movie. 100%. I don't care if you put it at 5. I don't care if you put it at 1. In my opinion, Ratatouille is top 5. And again, there's an argument to be made there. But the fact that it's not in the top 5 is crazy. And here's my thing too. You can't have 2 Toy Stories in the top 5. You can't have Toy Story 3 and Toy Story 1 in the top 5. That's not how this works. That's not how we're doing this, okay? Like, you got to have one or the other. And if you're going to have one, it's this first Toy Story. And because there's no way the third one is number 2. There's just no way. So I'm going to give my unofficial, like, I'll give, like, my top 10, maybe, or maybe just top 5. We'll see. Because I'm talking all this smack about this list. I have to give, like, at least a little bit of a list, right? So I'm going to rank, I'm not even going to do this in order, because I'd have to really, like, sit down and genuinely think about it. And it'd actually be really hard to, like, for me to, like, put this in like, an actual, like, order, like, 1 through 5. So I'll list top 5 in no particular order, okay? And we'll see what it comes out to. I think WALL-E should be in the top 5. They have that right. I think Toy Story 1 should be in the top 5. They have that right, too. I think Ratatouille should be added into the top 5. Okay? Oh, see, here's where it gets so hard, though. There's so many good Pixar movies. Like, God, they are just so good at what they do over there, aren't they? Like, it's incredible. I mean, speaking of The Incredibles, no. But, like, think about it. I'm going to list 5 movies right now. I've already listed 3. But, so that means I have 2 spots left in my top 5, right? I'm going to name a few movies, and so there's Up. There's Finding Nemo. There's Monsters, Inc. There's The Incredibles. There's Bug's Life. There's Cars. And in my opinion, those 6, realistically, and Coco. I haven't seen Coco, but I've heard. So I haven't seen Coco, so that's the reason I'm excluding that. But I bet you if I've seen it, I may personally think it's top 5. I don't know. So I'm excluding Coco, but I've heard it's really, really good. So that could very well be a top 5. I know somebody's sitting there like, dude, Coco's the best, but haven't seen it, so I can't say. But I listed like 7 movies there. only 2 of them can make my top 5. So that means like 5 really, really good Pixar movies that I loved as a kid will not make the top 5, which is just insane. Like, you mean tell me Up or Finding Nemo or Monsters Inc. or Cars, or The Incredibles, or 3 of those aren't going to make the top 5? That's just insane. I mean, that just shows how many good like movies they've come out with, which is like a testament to them and like shout out to them because that's so cool. But it's absolutely like insane to me. I'm trying to think about what I liked as a kid because I haven't seen a lot of these movies in a while. But I'm trying to think like when I was a kid and like I had to watch one of these movies, what did I like to watch? Honestly, like I kind of want to biasly say Cars because I loved Cars as a kid, but I don't think Cars is like realistically a top 5. Monsters Inc. I don't even know if I think that's top 5 either. Actually, they ranked it at 7, and I think I agree with that. I'm just gonna say top 10. I'm just a top 10. I'm all over the place. Up, Finding Nemo, Monsters Inc., Ratatouille, Toy Story 1, WALL-E, The Incredibles, Cars, so we're at 8, A Bug's Life, that's 9, and then honestly, you could put Inside Out there too. I would say Inside Out could be my 10th. And again, this is excluding some movies because I haven't seen all of them. So this is excluding like Coco, and this doesn't even include Encanto, which I haven't even seen Encanto. But that's my top 10, and if I had to pick 5 from that, I'm saying Ratatouille, Toy Story 1, WALL-E. I'm just gonna say it. Finding Nemo would be in there. I think it sneaks in there. And honestly, oh man, I've kind of got to go with Up. I kind of have to. That story is so good. And again, I think it's debatable. I think honestly, those last 2 spots are debatable. I don't think the other 3 spots are debatable. But I mean, again, personal opinion, a little stubborn, a little biased for sure. But I think there's so many movies that you could put in there. Okay, I was going to like really, really make fun of IGN. I mean, I already did. But like, that was a lot harder than I actually thought it was going to be. That was way more difficult than I was anticipating. And I'm going to do a lot of editing there because there's a lot of like pauses and stuttering and like thinking and repetition. But I like what I came out with at the end. I like what we came out with. I think it was a good list. And honestly, I would love to hear on YouTube or whatever. I would love to hear what your like top 5 is. And it can be in order. It can be in no particular order. But tell me and honestly, if it includes Coco, tell me how badly I need to watch Coco or Encanto, 2 movies I haven't seen. Because I'm very curious to know how other people view those. And again, I think some of those might be biased because of the nostalgic factor. Is Finding Nemo really that good, or is it the nostalgia? Is Monsters Inc. really that good, or is it nostalgia? Same with Up. No, Up's not nostalgia, but Cars, is it really that good, or is it nostalgia? So maybe my top 10 is a little bit biased. So I would love to know, especially if you're younger, if you're 17, 18, or 16, you've seen some of these movies more recently. I would love to know, because just think when some of these movies came out, I was already 14, 15 years old, so they weren't really tailored for me. But and when I was 14, 15 years old, there's no way I was gonna watch a cartoon, a Disney movie. It's too cool for that. But yeah, I would love to know. And if you're older, I would love too, because if you've been an adult the entire time that Pixar has been making movies, your opinion would actually be probably less tainted because you've had your adult brain that's been viewing all of these. So I would love to know what your guys' top 5 is, or top 10. If you want to do the whole 25, you can do the whole 25 if you want. Okay, I should have probably done that, and I could have given you my list, but I didn't want to, and I didn't think that far ahead, to be honest. All right, this episode was all over the place. I kind of apologize for that. I apologize to myself for the editing that I have to do, because I was hoping there would be no editing involved, but there's going to be some for sure because of the some of the stuff we talked about, and I have been a bit repetitive at times, and I apologize for that. But sometimes when I get going and I get talking, I just go, and my brain jumps from one thing to the other. So yeah, I'm going to end it here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, or if you're watching it, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you're listening, follow the TikTok. It's at Frivolous Pod. We upload twice a week. I only uploaded once this week because I forgot to upload the second time. But we upload Monday or Tuesday. It's a clip from the upcoming episode. Friday, Saturday is going to be me asking you guys for topics to talk about in the upcoming episode that we're going to film on that weekend. And I'm going to start uploading there more too. Again, working on that. But in the coming weeks, there's going to be more TikToks and hopefully more YouTube content too, where I can kind of post maybe I'll post unedited versions on my YouTube, like if you guys are interested in that, or I'll post like, questions or topics that I cut from the episode, whether it's an episode with me or somebody, or an episode with somebody else where it's like I had to cut it for time or I didn't think it was relevant. So let me know if you guys would be interested in that, because I would love to know. And as always, you can message me on TikTok. You can comment on YouTube. I see all that. I've gotten a few comments on that on like YouTube and TikTok, and I see them all and I appreciate them. So yeah, and then obviously subscribe to the YouTube as well. I don't think I said that, but subscribe to the YouTube. It's the Frivolous Podcast. Again, the full video goes up on there the same day as the audio goes up on Spotify and all those platforms. And also behind the scenes and stuff like that, and maybe like extras will be going up there eventually. Don't know when, but at some point they will be going up there. I promise. I really appreciate you guys tuning in and taking time out of your day, whether you're at the gym or just in the car or just chilling. I appreciate you guys taking time to listen to it. I'm filming this on Sunday, so happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, happy Mother's Day to everybody oh my God. I am filming this on Sunday, which is Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. I don't think I have a lot of moms listening to this, but I'm just gonna give a general shout out to moms, because obviously without moms, none of us would be here. So shout out to the moms. Yeah. Thank you guys again so much for tuning in and for listening. I'm wishing you guys good mental health and I hope you guys have a good week, and we will see you on Wednesday. See ya.